Half-Sword has released 9 bosses in the April update. I've created a display of each individual boss that you will fight during gauntlet mode. Each one of these bosses could end your run in an instant. Knowing what to expect is half the battle. The first champion in the Beggar category wields a great axe, with items scattered all over the floor. He is shirtless and wearing no armor, but neither are you. Do not underestimate him for his appearance alone. His size can topple you with a single kick, but his axe especially could lop you in two in a blink of an eye. This is one of the most dangerous boss fights, because of how under-equipped you are. Your best bet in defeating him would be to circle around and collect as many items on the floor as you can, with a long weapon if possible, such as a two-handed chandelier, and to space him out and slowly knock him unconscious. Even if you could get him on the ground, that can become a win. This is only the first boss, so even if you do get split in two, it won't be a big deal. You'll only have to get 3 points to meet him again. The second champion in the Peasant category is Ye Olde Farmer John, or if you're fighting him, perhaps the Grim Reaper, as he carries a scythe that will remind you of many folklore and tales of death. If you aren't careful, he'll pull his scythe straight into his body and lop your limbs in two. The scythe in Half-Sword is a terrifying weapon. The pitchfork used to be broken, but it was nerfed. The scythe is still as terrifying as ever. Don't treat this fight like your average spear fight. This man will change his grip and pull the scythe in, leaving you running in the abyss. I'd suggest fighting him with an axe. If you can get an arm off, or at least limp, he'll switch to his shorter sickle that is on his side, or he'll at the very least slow down. But don't charge in like a crazy barbarian. The axe won't always cut him as efficiently as all the other characters. All of these champions have some rather thick skin, depending on your settings. The third boss is found at the commoner rank. If you thought the Grim Reaper was bad, Old Farmer John and his scythe. This champion is one haircut away from becoming a Final Fantasy character. With the size of his longsword, he could build a bridge with his sword from America to the United Kingdom. If you ever wanted a barber to work remotely, cutting your hair from a distance, this is your man. Not only are you unarmored in this fight, but even with the longest sword that you've got, it peels in comparison to his. In history, there's been several very long and strange weapons, and they don't quite make sense until you look at this guy, and you realize, oh, they weren't made for the common man. They were made for giants, mystical beasts that can topple mountains. Your failure rate against this champion is a get fucked out of 10 with a percentage score of let's take a vacation to the abyss. Even Satan's more fair than this guy. When you reach this champion, clap. You've beaten every possible enemy in the game, because this one is impossible. Enjoy your Kingdom Hearts boss fight against Sephiroth, if you do try to beat this man. After using every exploit under the sun to beat that last champion, this one is just as difficult, as this guy holds a spiked spear. However, what evens it out is that you too can wield a spike spear in this fight. If you don't know, spike spears are one of the best weapons in the game. Not only does it have range, but you can swing it too. Hitting them at the side, you can just slowly beat down any enemy. And they can't really do that much about it as you just kind of run backwards. If you try to parry a spike spear, chances are you're going to fail, as the spikes will not only pierce your hand, but if your parry isn't outward enough, it'll also just hit you regardless. Even if you have a spike spear in this fight, this champion's spike spear is not only longer, but it does more damage, because he's taller and has more strength. Though with a bit of patience and luck, it is manageable, as the AI fights very poorly with polearms. Their patterns are very predictable, but it still may take a bit of luck And if you get tossed to the ground, you should just give up immediately and start over so you don't get sent to the abyss. Good luck. If you make it through all the other fights, this guy should be a cakewalk. As a soldier, now not only are you armored, but you have a large pool of weapons to choose from, and the only thing this champion wields is a halberd. If he drops his halberd, you may as well give up and start again. Because like I said in the previous champion, the AI is very lacking when it comes to polearms. Very predictable. And once you get into range, especially with this type of halberd, you can dish out some damage by changing your grip to a half sword, or just using a short weapon. Then all you have to do is attack the openings in the armor. The blue part specifically, the gambeson. Those are the easiest parts to thrust into and chop into. And at later ranks, it is the only parts you can really do damage with, presuming your damage sliders are at the center, and you didn't change it in any way. Easy fight, GG. This next champion, compared to the early ones, is once again a cakewalk. I don't know why they put Malik from Knights of the Old Republic into half-sword, but they did. Even Bane from Batman has more armor on his head than this guy. And no, the champion does not use the Force. There's no precognition, he is just a normal man with a tall, slender body who forgot to wear his helmet to the sword fight. But don't worry, thankfully, he brought his neck guard, and his neck will stay warm in the blistering hot arena. Wielding a golden mace, he is a little intimidating at first sight. It is the first gold weapon we see, but overall that's really all that's terrifying about him. If you haven't been working on your overhead swings, practicing them before going against this guy in free play mode would be a good idea, because one good knock to the head will be enough to send him tumbling down. He'll fall to your feet in a sneeze, and you'll be left laughing. A great axe and a longsword is your best friend in this fight. Give him a good bonk. This next champion is the exact same guy as before, except this time he remembered to bring his helmet. However, because of the embarrassment and beatdown you left him with, he had to sell his golden mace to accommodate his loss, and with his remaining pence he bought a spike maul. But he's trash at it, as it is a predictable polearm. But at his side he has a longsword that you should do everything to make sure he never unsheaths, because that's the only thing he's going to be good at in this fight. Openings are everywhere in this champion's armor. One good half-sword thrust will end the fight. And if you do get unlucky and get knocked down, giving up and starting over should boost you with confidence again, because this guy is really not all that tough, at least compared to the early fights, because now you're almost as heavily armed as a knight, and it's going to take more than a poleaxe to bring you down now. Just don't turn your back to the enemy. If there was a mini-boss before the final boss battle, this would be him. Threatening, intimidating, and if you don't watch yourself you might just get knocked unconscious. He wields a great axe with one hand. Because of his size, it's very effective. He's basically swinging at the speed that you would have swinging a hatchet, those tiny axes, with the force of a two-handed maul and the cutting efficiency of the normal great axe. If this man was a woodcutter, the entire forest would get deforested in just a few days. They would have to regulate this man alone to save the trees. But just to add on to that, he's also heavily armored. So heavily armored that you really just can't cut into him at all. There's very tiny weak points at his legs, but his neck is garnished with chainmail. With a great axe you can still cut into it though, if you get at a perfect angle. If you're using an edged weapon, your best bet is to strike in an opening and get lucky. If you're using a blunt weapon, maybe after a few attacks to the head you might get him down. But you're gonna have to follow the great practices of don't get hit. If it seems like your character's failing, just give up and try again. It's a long walk in the abyss when you reach this rank, and you're more likely to perish in the abyss, since you will essentially be starting over and have to climb your way back up. Don't get careless with this one. The final fight, the final boss, known as the Ultimate Challenge, is a wave of enemies and then a champion at the end. I've only managed to get a glimpse at this guy, and only fought him once, because there was a persistent game-breaking bug that completely locked me out of the fight, so I couldn't really complete it. But after fighting a wave of enemies, you meet a golden knight with a golden halberd, a golden greatsword, and a golden mace and buckler at his side. When I fought him, he tripped and fell on me, and lost hold of his halberd. Switching to his giant greatsword, it was too difficult to finish him off. And having only fought him once, I can say with confidence, this is truly the most difficult champion of them all. He hits like a truck with his polearm, and his skin was inspired by the US military's tank, because it was made to deflect bullets. The few times I tried to run into his polearm, he knocked me in the head so hard with the blunt end of the polearm that I became too scared to approach him again. This Golden Knight is wild, and he's more than willing to send you to the abyss to purge your soul. Because I can tell by the way this man dresses, he wanted to be a Templar for Jesus Christ himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a phase 2 and sprouted wings. And he turned out to be Archangel Michael's reincarnation. If there are more champions after this guy, I haven't gotten there yet, as his raw power alone crashes my game. But if you get here, prepare to run on the Abyss's treadmill, because you're going to get a workout. And with that, these are all the champions in Half-Sword that have been added in the April update. If you found this information useful, please like and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts and leave a comment below. Thank you to all the people who have done so throughout this April update. I believe I've covered nearly everything now. This was a big update, and besides a couple small details, such as bones being spread across the abyss, and a few other minor graphics updates, everything should be covered for April. And I will return to uploading daily shorts. This current month has been pre-recorded. I have about 30 shorts that are being uploaded daily for April, and that will be the last of the playtest that I upload before this channel fully converts to the demo, as the demo has everything the playtest has and more. Soon I will also be updating my playlists, organizing each month's short into a series, and update videos like these will get their own playlists. And I will of course return to doing historical combat using techniques that were used in medieval times, because that is what the community truly appreciates. And with all that being said, stay brutal, and I hope to see you on the next one.